more that we know about your organization, the more that we can match opportunity to your organization.
That's Thanks, Gus, for being on the podcast and coming to Next Place Summit. Do you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Gustavo Silva. I'm the Director of Football Development for the Chicago Bears.
Awesome. And what is your involvement with RCX Sports?
So obviously we are heavily involved with NFL Flag.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been working with RCX ever since they took over management of NFL Flag. So we work with them, on supporting our local NFL Flag leagues,
Mm-hmm.
hosting the NFL Flag Regional, and they've actually helped us with quite a few initiatives, including expanding internationally to create girls flag leagues internationally. So they've been a
Awesome.
great partner with us.
That's great. Why is flag football an important initiative for the NFL?
Well, I mean, it's another pathway to the sport, and it's
Mm-hmm.
actually the most accessible and the most inclusive form of football, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we always talk about, all forms of football to us are football. So whether you're playing, 11-man tackle football, whether you're playing 8-man football, if maybe you're from a smaller community, girls flag football is obviously a huge initiative both for the NFL and in our market. It's a priority for the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
We actually started girls flag football in Illinois and have helped get it sanctioned in just 3 years. And it's now, the fastest growing sport in the state. So, flag football is really just an amazing entryway to the sport.
Yeah.
For some people, it's the only form of football that they're ever gonna play. But what we really love about it is that it's something that everybody can play. So you can play flag football and then maybe transition to tackle if that's what you choose, or you can just play flag football. Right now, there's a pathway from youth all the way to the Olympics, and
Yeah.
in one day there's going to be a pathway to pros with just playing flag football. So that's
Yeah.
really what's amazing about flag.
It's really exciting. That's
It is,
awesome.
absolutely.
Why do you think NFL flags, what sets it apart compared to other flag football leagues?
Well, I think there's the piece of obviously RCX does an amazing job of like helping to organize and manage and support and make it easy, because when it comes to youth sport, you were talking about barriers. One of the biggest barriers are like the organizers,
Mm-hmm.
the coaches, like they're all volunteers for the most part, right?
Right.
It's like they have a job and a family, and
Yeah.
that's a barrier. Time is a big barrier. So RCX does a lot of that behind the scenes work and organizing, the providing uniforms and the establishing the leagues and the, how do I get insurance? Like they answer so many of those questions where they make it easy
Right.
to be able to start a league. So I feel like that's probably the way that we see it, where RCX really just supports and helps to like establish those leagues.
That's great. And then maybe for some of the Chicagoland operators who couldn't be here today that run NFL Flag, what's something you want them to know that they might not have heard because they're not here?
So I think one thing that we shared in one of the sessions yesterday was, somebody asked a question about like, how do we connect and build a relationship with that NFL club
Right.
in our market, whether they're from Chicago or from another market. And I said, well, number one, I think it's doing that outreach, right? It's finding, the football development or the youth and high school football. Each club might call it something different, but finding
Mm-hmm.
out who those people are, reaching out to them and letting them know about your organization.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people will reach out and haven't asked. They'll say, hey, we want, Caleb Williams to come to our, awards
Very
night.
specific ask.
Yeah, and it's like, well, that's beyond our ability to
Right.
do that, right? But what we can do is help your organization if you would just tell us about it. So I would
Yeah.
say draft up an email, introduce yourself, introduce your organization, talk about the kids that you serve, the needs of your community, what exists. Because I think the more that you can educate us, people that sit in the position that I sit in, that it allows us to be advocates for you and your organization. So the more
Sure.
that I know you as a person and what your needs are and what are the things that you do really well, what are the things that you need help with, that allows me to then kind of help fill in those gaps
Mm-hmm.
and remove those barriers. So I think that's the best approach, because I think the approach that a lot of people use when they'll say, hey, I reached out to our club, and they asked for, can we scrimmage at halftime of a game? Can we have a player? Can we come to watch a practice? Like those are three things that are probably beyond our scope.
Mm-hmm.
But if you talk about your kids, your community, your organization, and how we
Mm-hmm.
can support the growth of youth football, flag football,
Mhm.
how we can help you make it accessible to the kids, and how we can make it help you make it inclusive of
Mhm.
maybe kids that maybe don't have the means, or maybe girls. That's, obviously girls flag football is a big priority. So like I think if you can talk about those things,
Totally.
that's the way to really kind of approach that conversation
Mhm.
and to inform that person, because I mean, looking at like Chicago in our market, people just figure the Chicago Bears, that's just one big city. But the reality is that our market expands the whole state of Illinois.
Yeah.
So you think about like the needs of youth football, girls flag football, like
Right.
it's great.
Yeah.
So we have to try to prioritize. But I feel like the more that we know about your organization, the more that we can match opportunity to your organization.
That's awesome. Thank you so
Absolutely,
much. Thank you
yes.
for coming on the podcast and
Yeah,
for being
absolutely.
here and for talking to these operators and
Yes.
sharing your vision and your goals and everything. It's incredible to see pro league and community come together. The power and impact of it is outstanding.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. It's been a
Thank
pleasure. I
you.
appreciate you getting the
Thanks.
word
It
out.
was so nice to
Of
meet you.
course. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.